Sam had asked me to come. Can you guys hear me okay?
Turn up a little bit more.
I could turn this off. I'm trying to speak loud. Is that all right? Yeah. Very good. Sam had come and asked me to speak back in August, just about some of the challenges and positives that I've faced in my career as it relates to work ethic and things of that nature. And what I've always kind of been one of my philosophies as it relates to being a professional. And no matter what you're going to school for, what you want to do, we're all going to be a professional in something, right? And so one of my philosophies has always been, and my students heard me say this in class the other day, and actually one of them had said it when we were talking about some of the things that relate to work ethic. If you do, right, all the things that no one else wants to do, you will then inherently be successful. Because it's always cool to do the fun stuff. Everybody does that. But that doesn't set you apart from everybody else. All that does is put you in the same pool with everybody else. And to be successful, sometimes you have to do things that set yourself apart. And I always like to be in a different pool. Not saying I want to be alone in that pool, but I want to be in a different pool. I always want to be in the pool to where I'm doing things that others aren't doing, and so then it sets me apart from them. And also shows those who are around me or I'm working with that I have a real deal work ethic, and that I really want this. And that's what you're doing sometimes when you're putting forth that work ethic. Yes, you're developing your own work ethic, but more importantly, you're showing others that you really want it. And you're not just in it because it's fun, whatever that is. Or you're not just doing the fun stuff, that you're doing the things that no one else wants to do. So I have a story that I'd like to share with you guys that speak to that. I started off my career as a high school teacher and then went on to collegiate athletics. And I started off as a coach and also as an administrator at a Division III school. And what I loved about my experience at that Division III school was that I got a chance to do a lot of different things. I was coaching, I was doing marketing, I was doing finance, I was doing corporate sponsorship, I was working with our television group. It was really fun. But just by doing that, I learned sort of what I just shared with all of you, is that when I did all the stuff that no one else wanted to do, I got more opportunities to put myself in a different pool. You said it again, so it marinates on the brain. Okay? So I did all those things that no one else wanted to do, right? It put me in a different pool. And then I got to do more things that may not have been always cool, but it got me more experience, what allowed me to continuously set myself apart from others. So while I was at Illinois Wesleyan, I got a chance to do all those different things, and then through a colleague who had seen me out doing all these different things, he had shared an email with me about this NCAA Women's and Minorities Leadership Institute for those who want to be collegiate athletic directors. I was like, wow, that is really cool. And so I applied for it. And yes, it was more work because I had to go to Indianapolis every other week for a weekend and study. But I was studying with some of the best minds in collegiate athletics, okay, for a whole year. And then in the summertime, I had to go to Indianapolis for a whole week. And it was straight intensive work to where Monday through Friday, we were in the classroom learning from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day for 5 days, okay? But because of that, right, I got the certificate of going through this institute for minority men and females, okay? And what that allowed me to do was network with more people and also make my skills better. And through that experience, I come in contact with someone in Florida State, and they called me up a month later and they said, Jason, we have a job open in Florida State in our athletic department. I think you'd be a great fit for this. So think about that. By doing all these things, right, to separate myself, things that weren't fun, right, things that weren't always cool, it allowed me to have an opportunity to get to Florida State. And that's how I wound up at Florida State. I never even knew that position even existed, the one that they had told me to apply for at Florida State. Because a lot of these organizations, because they're so sought after, they don't put it out there publicly that they have these opportunities. So you'll only learn them through your connections and those who think you'd be good for that position. So I know I said a lot in a short amount of time, but I want you guys to really understand that by doing the work, really getting in and doing the work, you will be successful later on. And it doesn't always happen exactly when you want it to. But you just know that by doing all those things that no one else does, you're going to set yourself apart from all the others who want to do those things that you want to do. And when you separate yourself apart, the cream rises to the top, right? And those will be the folks that will be looking at you. So I'd like to open it up now for questions or comments. I don't want to talk and take up all your time. I just want to kind of give you that one piece of information that I think is helpful. And I try to live by that every day. That what I shared with you about doing all the extra. Even now, as a 45-year-old, I'm doing an online data analytics degree. Okay? By any stretch of the imagination, I'm not a data analytics person, but I wanted to learn it so I could learn what my students needed to know for them to be successful. So I was just doing regression tables last night. I'm telling you right now, you want to talk about something that's not fun? For those of you who are math people, that is fun. This guy, not even close. So talking about doing all the things you don't want to do, I was doing regression tables last night. Tonight I got to do a null hypothesis. Stress level just gone way up. Okay? So questions or things you'd like to share with the group. Maybe you have an experience of the way you set yourselves apart and you'd like to share with the group.
How long did you work for Florida State? Did you enjoy it? How did you get your position here?
Sure. Okay. So Florida State, I was there for 3 seasons. When you work college athletics, you kind of call it, you throw everything in seasons. So I was there for 3 seasons. I enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot. I never worked for a state school before. So like Maryville is a private school. Wake Forest is a private school. Stanford is a private school. Florida State is a state school. Louisiana State University is a state university. So I learned a lot of the intricacies between working for a state school versus working for a private school. State school, every dollar you spend, you got to think about it, you're spending state funds because the state funds the university. When you're working for a private school, you're not spending state funds, you're spending their budget funds. So there's rules and regulations around that. I definitely learned a lot. I mean, heck, Florida State was a school that had 30,000 students in it. So we're always looking at things from such a larger perspective. And obviously we had a microscope on us because we were a pretty good athletic department, not just football, but women's basketball, soccer, volleyball. We were really good in almost all of our sports. So I learned a lot about watching everything that you do and being careful about every word that you put in an email and all that good stuff. So I wound up getting to Maryville because after I worked at Florida State, a colleague of mine told me about a position at Boston College, and I wanted to move him from Florida to Boston. And I worked at Boston for 3 years, and then I'm a firm believer, I think I shared this with some of our upperclassmen in our program, that we all need to have mentors. And sharing what your goals are with people who have not only positions higher than you, but just have a lot more experience than you do is very important. And one of my mentors was a 3-time university president. And when I first met him, I took one of his classes. He retired from being a president. He was what they call a university professor at Florida State, which means he basically can teach any subject. So not just biology, not just math, but he's just that dude who can teach anything because he's that smart. And he had been the president of Florida State University of Maine and Georgia Southern. And yeah, he had a PhD in mathematics. He was a damn genius, but also could communicate really well. I could have used him that's not what I'm doing with regression tables. But anyway, he had always told me that he thought I should be a university professor. And I'm like, nah, like I'll do that when I retire. Like that's not what I want to be. He's like, all right, just think about it. So I always told him I always wanted to be a collegiate EdD. And so he's like, okay, I'll help you mentor you. So working at Boston College, things are going really well. I really enjoyed my job there. And he tells me about a position that's open at Maryville University. And I'm like, where's that at? Because I'm from the East Coast. I never even heard of Maryville. And this was 2007. He's telling me about this. And I'm like, whatever. So he sent me an email, and I didn't even pay attention to it. He called me back 2 weeks later. He's like, did you see that email I sent you? I'm like, I told you, I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm thinking. He goes, listen, they want to start a sport business management program. I think you'd be a good person to do it. Just at least look at the position. So I read the position description. I was like, okay. And then I went online. I was like, okay, St. Louis had obviously the Cardinals, the Rams at the time, and the Blues. But they also had Rawlins, and they also had a lot of other sport business organizations. I was like, St. Louis Sports Commission was Oregon Conference, so forth and so on. So I said, okay, I'll apply. And then here That's how I got the degree. Was not planning on ever being a university professor, guaranteed. Not what I thought I wanted to do, but we don't know. So that's why you always need mentors, because sometimes they know more and better than we do. Thank you for the question. Any other questions?
I have a point.
Yes, sir.
So when you say doing all the things that no one else wants to do is really important, that's a great strategy to start to separate yourself from everyone else. What strategies do you use to determine what are the things people don't want to do? Like how, there's not just a list that you can go to, right?
Right.
So how do you determine that?
Great question, Sam. One of the things is sometimes it's an internal thing of what other people don't want to do. So what are you really not that good at that you can do to sharpen that skill? We all have things that we're just naturally good at, right? The good Lord has blessed you with certain things to where you can just do them better than others, right? But there are things that maybe you're not good at. So if you can sharpen those tools, I always say that separates you apart. Because now you'll be good at the things that you're naturally good at, and then you'll get better at the things that you're not as good at, and that also raises your skill set and your skill level. That's one of the ways to do it. The other thing is just look around you. Who signs up to do X things? Who signs up to get up at 5 a.m. to help volunteer something for someone else? Not a lot of people do. Go do it. Who's going to make the extra effort to send thank you cards, right? Who's going to take the extra effort to do the things that I'll do it, but I don't really enjoy it, or I'll do it, but gosh, I don't really want to do it. What's the big deal? It's not going to be that big of a deal. I just want to do it. Who does those things? And those are the other things that you can do to separate yourself apart. Good question, Sam. Anything else? Have any of you done anything to separate yourself apart from other people? Okay, tell me, what have you done? Tell us, what have you done? Okay, making connections, making contacts, doing internships, right? Getting involved on campus, those are great things. Excellent. Resume builders. Excellent. Anybody else? Oh, sorry.
I've been here for 2 weeks now, but before I got here, I worked at an institution that did not always make themselves accessible to students, but I do. So I always let students know. I gave out my personal cell phone number and my email, and if students had questions at any hour, I told them to always just expect a response from me in 24 hours. And some of the people that I work with were like, why are you responding to emails on Friday night or on the weekends? Because if our students have needs, they're not always conveniently between 8 and 5, right?
Right, that's right. We wish they were, but it's not the case.
Yeah, so I would say maybe that's one thing that, and I don't even know if I thought of it that way until you just kind of explained it. I just thought I was doing that.
Yeah. Well, some of the times when we do those things, it's because it's in us. It's who we are, right? We also know that, heck, I would like a response within 24 hours, right? And our world has kind of made us that way to where it has become almost an expectation, right? If you're providing good customer service, whether that customer service is actually to someone who's a customer, or if it's to a friend, or to a colleague, or whatever it is, it just makes sense to get back to them within 24 hours. So, yeah, that's good stuff. Anything else? Yes.
So you've worked with a lot of student athletes, obviously along the way, and or students who are doing things outside of the class. So how do students sell that experience to an employer? So I know employers love to see athletes, but I don't think athletes always know how to package that experience up, what they're learning, kind of on the field.
Yeah, I think well, it's no different than a student understanding that going and volunteering for a 5K with the St. Louis Cardinals is a transferable skill. That's what I like to put it on. I put all those things, whether you are a student athlete or you just play sports, period, or if you've done volunteer work, or if you've volunteered for a non-for-profit organization, as well as volunteered for a organization that has its actual business. All those things are what I call transferable skills. The skill of being able to communicate well, the skill of having a work ethic, the skill of providing some sort of leadership or being a leader. All of those things are what I call transferable skills, and that's what you're selling that potential employer, is those transferable skills. You know what? In our program, obviously, we put students in a situation where they're actually doing what the organizations want them to do. But even if they weren't doing that, the ability to communicate well is something that you can sell to a potential employer. The fact that you've taken on maybe a leadership role on campus is something that you can sell to a potential employer. So it's, if I can just put 2 words on it, it's transferable skills. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I try to volunteer for as much opportunities as I can when my softball schedule allows.
Mm-hmm.
And I always make sure I send a thank you card after. Like
Yes.
connect with them like a couple weeks after.
Yes.
Like I made a binder, this is kind of extra, but I made a binder of like all like the questions I asked them, like all their answers. And then I have like a little schedule of like when I need to email them next.
That is outstanding. And that's how you keep those contacts. And that's how you keep your name in those contacts' heads. And I always tell students, even if they don't respond back to you, that's okay. They saw your email. They saw your name. And that's just as important. So very good. And I think keeping that binder, yeah, it's extra, but that's doing the thing no one else wants to do. Everybody else will say, oh, I sent the thank you card. That's even plenty, right? Not go above and beyond. Exactly. That's beautiful.
I had
Oops.
for my spring breaks all through undergrad, I never really went anywhere. I had a lot of friends that go to like Daytona Beach or Mexico, all those places. And so my sophomore, junior, and senior years, knowing that I wasn't sure if I was going to grad school, but I knew that I wanted to live in different places. And so when I would travel, I would be very intentional about where I was going. So I knew I was going to work in higher ed, so if I was going to North Carolina, I'd be like, okay, what schools are there? And just cold call them. And I would just call them up and see who in the program was around, or just walk around campus. But I mean, that wasn't necessarily like fun to be using your spring break to essentially research where you want to go to grad school, but it makes a huge difference to meet the faculty or a potential employer. Even before I got my job here at Maryville, it's almost a year ago, I used my Thanksgiving break when I was at my other job to come here on my way up to Wisconsin to essentially just check it out and just meet people. And I mean, it's amazing when you just are an outsider and you're like, hey, I want to learn more, and all of a sudden you got, you know, the president on your agenda and like these vice presidents on your agenda, and you're like, I'm an entry-level employee. But I mean, if you never ask, you never know. Right. And so the worst that anyone could say is, no, sorry, we don't have time. But you know, that would be pretty, that tells you something about that place that you're going to work anyway.
It's true.
Right?
And if they tell you no, you didn't lose anything.
Right.
But
And
if
so,
you don't even ask, you lost an opportunity.
yeah, I think sometimes students really struggle with just, they automatically assume that, oh, they're not going to have time for me, or, oh, you know, they're going to say no without even asking, right? And so, I mean, if you just ask, get in the habit of just asking those questions, because the worst that could happen is nothing.
We talk about this all the time in our program, and I think it's good for all students to hear and understand this, but you know, your student status is so powerful as a student. You don't realize how powerful your status is as a student, that when you reach out to someone else, maybe that's in your industry, they will respond back to you. I can't say they all will, but a good amount will, because they like to talk about what they do. Everybody likes to talk about what they do. Everybody, and ultimately, there are a lot of good people out there in the world who do want to help others. And so you just got to get to the right person. I know in our class, we had students do informational interviews, and we always tell them, reach for the sky. Don't go for the coordinator. Not that you can't learn a lot from the coordinator, but there's nothing wrong with reaching out to the CEO. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to the president of the organization, the CFO, the CRO. Reach out to those folks because they will get back to you. So, great point, Sam. Anything else? All right. What?
I want to set a conversation with you in your office, and I saw your computer, you have like 5,000 unread emails. How did you
Hope you're exaggerating. It wasn't 5,000.
It was like,
Probably 500.
I was like, how did you just get through all that? And Daniel told me like you could do it and don't prepare yourself.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, my philosophy is, when I get home from work, my time goes to my kids and my wife, and then they go to bed around 9 o'clock, and then I try to stay up between 9 and midnight and do work, sometimes just answering emails. The great thing is we all have emails on our phones. I can actually just lay in bed and do dictation, say whatever I need to say. But you know, it's all good. That's what we're here for, right? That's why I do what I do, is so that I can help others, right? And that's what it's about. A lot of emails, but you know, sometimes you can respond in 1 or 2 words. They get a lot of emails too. Sometimes you can respond in 1 or 2 words, and that makes it easy.
Sometimes I respond to Jason, he writes back, "Why are you working right now?" And
Yeah.
I said, "Why are you working right now?"
I remember that conversation. Yeah, we've done that. I'm like, what are you doing working this late at night?
I'm like, I'm just getting through email.
So we all do. Yeah. Well, I hope I haven't bored you all too much, but if you take one thing away from this conversation today, do all the things that no one else wants to do. Okay, build that resume. It makes a huge difference. Huge difference. All right. Thank you guys for your time.
Thanks, Jason.
No problem.